What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Brian Young, and I have a question. Have any of you ever dated someone simply because you thought they were hot? I know it's like a weird question to ask, but like seriously, think about it. How many people have you been on a date with or been in a long-term relationship with simply because you thought they were physically attractive? Like nothing else was about you. You were just like, damn, that person is fly. Like, why would I not? And I asked that question because it's a segue into the topic of this video, which is about the difference between being shallow and having a preference. Because I feel like a lot of people think that they're very similar or the same, and they're actually really not. Now, I'm pretty sure we all know what being shallow is, and we all do know a person that is slightly shallow or really, really shallow. And just for the record, I feel like everyone is shallow to a certain degree, the degree being that looks do matter. And I'm not saying it's like the most important thing in the whole universe, but it's definitely important. Unless your name is Jared Seck, in which case your philosophy is just look for personality, man. Jared Seck, ladies, hit him up. But that's not realistically the case for most people. Now, I know a lot of people like to say, oh, looks don't matter, you know, it's more about personality, and that's fine. I think that for a lot of people, personality does have a bigger impact on whether you want to be with someone than looks. But like I said, to a degree, looks do matter. Like when you see a person and you just see them and you're like, dang, you know, you don't know anything about the personality. You have no idea who they are, but you might still be infatuated with them. Why? Probably because you think they look pretty damn good. Now again, once you start to get to know the person, you may hate them completely. Like you may hate every single iota about the person. Like they may be beautiful, but once you just start talking to them, they're just like, no way in hell would I ever be within 20 feet of that person. But that's off topic, kind of. It's off topic, but related to the topic. That doesn't make any goddamn sense. So back to what I was saying was, being shallow is going after someone simply because of their looks. You know, shallow, it's like only looking at something for the surface level. But having a preference, which is completely different, is when you would prefer a certain type of person to another type of person, but that doesn't mean that you would never go after that other type of person. You can have a preference towards people who you find physically attractive, but that doesn't mean that you're never going to date someone who you don't maybe find as physically attractive. You know, you can have a preference towards people who have a great personality, but aren't doing too well in the looks department. But it doesn't mean you're never gonna date someone who is doing really well in the looks department with a subpar personality. Having a preference, again, just means that you would prefer something a certain way. Like, I'd be the first or third or 10th or millionth guy to say, I personally like girls with curves. I mean curves in terms of like, you got some in the front and you got some in the back, and it's like slimmer here, like that hourglass shape, like that just nice shape, which, and I like to say this, curvy is different from being bigger. They're not the same thing. But being bigger isn't bad. I think I'll throw that out there. And I also like girls that are a bit skinnier. That's just a preference, right? But it doesn't mean that any other type of girl is bad. Like honestly, you can have a preference for something, but it doesn't mean that anything else out there is terrible. You should never say, oh, I'm not into big girls, so that means all big girls are bad, because that's not true. Some dude may not like skinny girls, but it doesn't mean that all skinny girls are bad, because again, it's not true. It's just your personal preference. And you as a bigger or skinnier or curvier or muscular person shouldn't feel offended because someone isn't into the specific way that you are. It's just not their first choice. It's like if there's an all-time NBA draft and I draft Kareem Abdul-Jabbar first, all right? It doesn't mean I don't want Jordan. It doesn't mean I wouldn't be happy with LeBron or Larry Bird or Wilt Chamberlain or Oscar Robertson or Dr. J or Patrick Ewing or Hakeem Olajuwon or Tim Duncan. It doesn't mean I wouldn't be happy with any of those guys. It just means I picked Kareem first. And I'm telling you, man, if I got this 10th pick and I ended up with freaking Larry Bird, or if I got the 3rd pick and I ended up with LeBron James, I'd still be really damn happy. It just means that the first person I picked happened to be Kareem. Just because I have that initial preference towards skinnier girls or girls with curves does not mean that I can't find you who may not fit that mold to be more attractive. And with preference, it's usually more about the entire person, because it means that, yeah, they can have that one quality that I really like, but it's not everything. It's saying that's my first option, but there's reasons I wouldn't go with that first option. There's reasons I may take the second or third option, because to me, the first option may not be all it's cracked up to be. And then of course, we also have people who are stuck in their preferences. You know, there are people who only date within their own race, only date within their own hair color, only date within their own eye color. That's not a thing? Nah, that's not a thing. It's like saying that Sprite is the best soda ever, but you've never tried Coca-Cola? Listen, I would say don't knock something or someone until you try it. If you're gonna say, I don't like Asian guys, but you never date an Asian guy, how would you know whether you like Asian guys or not? You've never been with one. How would you know whether or not you like black girls if you've never been with one? And also, just because someone tells you that something is bad, doesn't mean it's actually bad. So, also something to keep in mind. Alright guys, that's the video. As usual, like, share, and subscribe with your friends. If you like this video, find me on Twitter, Instagram. You can hit up Kristen right here. And also, don't forget to check out the Mavs World podcast right here. You know, if you're a basketball fan, check that out. Captain Jackass, you can find him on YouTube, you can find him on Twitter, or like I said, the Mavs World podcast. So if you're a Mavs fan or just a basketball fan in general, go check that out. You know, throw the guy some support, because basketball is a great thing, and it's a great thing to talk about basketball. So, peace.